Hey, I'm Luke Williams, and today we'll be going over 4 handgun mistakes that we see commonly at the range and how to fix them. All right, before we get started, I'm gonna address one of the biggest things I see at the range, which is people putting their finger inside of their trigger guard when they're not actually firing. If you're not shooting your gun, then your finger needs to be on the top of your trigger guard every time. So now that we have that out of the way, let's move into some of the mistakes. And the first one is improper stance. Now, stance is a point of contingency for a lot of different trainers in the firearms industry, and that's because some of them are teaching for everyday carry where you need to be able to fire from any position, especially if you're protecting yourself. You'll never know what's going to happen, versus if you're shooting for sport or competition where it's going to be the same every time and you want to get into that routine. Today, we're just going to look at the basics of it, and the biggest mistake I see in this is people leaning backwards. If you're leaning backwards, your balance is going to be off, number one, but number two, you have nowhere for that recoil to go. What you need to think here is nose over toes. You want to be leaning forward just a little bit so that your nose are over the edge of your toes, so when you take your shot, that recoil can absorb and then you can get back on target. The next mistake I see a lot is inconsistent trigger control. Now, if you're out at the range and you're getting great groups, however, they're a little bit left or a little bit right, that could be caused by something as simple as where your finger is placed on your trigger. If you just have the edge of your finger on the trigger, then your shots are going to push right. If you have your finger too far in on your trigger, it's going to push left. You've got to find that sweet spot right in the middle. And then after that, you have to be consistent with it. Because if you're moving back and forth between different spots on that trigger with your finger, then you're likely going to have a spread out group, or no group at all. The third mistake I see all the time is flinching. This is the anticipation of either the sound or the recoil. A lot of people, especially when they first start shooting, are not used to it. So before they pull the trigger, they'll actually jump or tense up. You got to be able to stay relaxed and fire your shot. Now, if you are having a problem with this, one of the great ways to overcome it is to practice dry firing at home with pop caps. Or if you want to come out to the range, you can put some pop caps or some empty shells into your mag and then shoot. Whenever you get to one of those empty shells or pop caps, whenever you shoot, you'll know if you're flinching because your gun will actually rise up. If it is, then you know you need to practice some more. This also helps you prepare if your gun ever jams, how to quickly fix it. And the last mistake is something you probably heard all the time growing up if you played sports, that's follow through. That applies to firearms as well. After you take your shot, one of the biggest problems I see on the range a lot of times in follow through is people are so antsy to see if they hit their target or where they hit their target that they don't follow through. Keep your stance after you shoot your shot, come back to target and relax, and then pull down your gun and put it in a safe position. All right, guys, I want to know what other common handgun mistakes that you've had to deal with or that you've had to help your friends with. Let me know in the comments below, and then make sure you head to Raider Red's YouTube channel and hit subscribe. From the farm, I'm Luke Williams.